Leadership for Sustainable Businesses of the Future. Hello, welcome to Futurist Mindset with Fifth Avenue Capital. My name is Tessa and I have Reagan Rodriguez. And Reagan, hello.
Yes, good afternoon to you. How are you
Good
doing?
afternoon. I'm very well. I'm doing very well, I should say. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
me
for
too.
being here. But if you don't know Reagan yet, Reagan is a futurist that teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. And today we're talking about sustainable businesses and how to create leadership for sustainable businesses. So tell us more, Reagan.
Yeah. So when you think about leadership for a sustainable business of the future, I was talking to a former professor of mine named John Stokes. And if you don't know who he is, you can look him up. He is a director of the leadership advisory of a firm called Stokes and Jolly. And he's a former professor at the University of Oxford. He is now a scholar and a senior member of St. Anthony's College. He is a business psychologist and a chartered clinical psychologist member of the British Psychological Society. He's also a clinical associate of the British Psychoanalytical Society. I could go on and on. This guy's kind of, he's got more degrees than a thermometer. So that was a joke, by the way, Tessa, that was supposed to be funny.
Well, I was on mute. I did laugh, but I was on mute. That was
more
very
degrees
funny.
than a thermometer. So here's one of the things that we were talking about. I had a call with him earlier this week, and we were talking about how the world that we are seeing right now and will continue to see is increasingly turbulent. It's uncertain, ambiguous, and kind of novel times. So when you think about it, the interconnected social and environmental problems we face are what? They're wicked problems. Now, I used to not know what that word was. Have you ever heard of that term, Tessa, wicked problems?
Nope, I don't think so. But
It's actually, if you Google wicked problems and related to sustainability or the environment, I'll give you a quick Reader's Digest version, okay? Here's what the definition is, that they cannot be solved linearly, okay? They are complex and they require leadership. So it needs a vision of a plausible figure and a compelling story of why it's worth kind of going towards this future. Okay, so it requires the right trade-offs between delayed and instant gratification, short-term and long-term thinking. Now, the reason that the image that I'd like you to show the image that we have of the painted in red. Okay,
Yes.
Here's why. Because you, as you're watching this, you're a participant of this show and you matter. You're going to take what you've learned from today, and my objective is that you go out into the world and show leadership for sustainability. So I want you to think about it like a cartoon hero, a leader perhaps. Captain Planet said, "The power is in your hands." Now, did you know that, Tessa? Did you know
I didn't, but
that there is
like
a Captain Planet out there?
that makes sense.
Yeah. And he says the power is in your hands. So the message, when you think about it, of leadership for sustainable business, here's what the message is. Okay. My hope is today I want to have you armed with extensive knowledge about sustainability, ideas, and critical questions for implementing sustainability in your business. And I also want to help you develop your own vision for how to help create a sustainable future. So my objective today is to give you the knowledge and tools to then be able to go forward. And I hope that you will take this time to maybe reflect on how you bring this together with your own leadership style, right? We also hope that you'll maybe demand better leadership for sustainability, of sustainability for those around you and where you work. If, again, after this talk, you're going to kind of, the reflections kind of lead you there. Tessa, before we went on, we were doing a little small talk, and I was giving you an example, I think just kind of warming up on what I was going to talk about. And I said, here's how you become a leader in sustainability. Because you remember we were talking about just little things like that bottle of water that you have when you go to throw it away. Are you going to put it in the recycling bin, or are you going to put it in the other trash? Little things like that, that's being a leader. When you think about it, a lot of the times we might say, are we really leaders in what we do? And I'm sorry, Tessa, I didn't know if I picked up. Did you want to add something on that? Were you going to say something on that?
No, just it's the do as I do, not as I say. You hear that a lot in leadership, and I think we have to be we are making the example for our teams. They are looking at us and watching us, and everyone's watching us, our potential clients, investors, whatever whoever's around you is watching. So I think we have to be the example. We have to lead by example.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You remember before we were doing a little small talk, I gave you an example that I was just walking in the downtown area, and I saw somebody that did literally have a plastic bottle. And I saw there were two trash cans next to it. One was the recycling bin, the other wasn't. And he throws it in the other one, and I looked. I didn't confront him. I could have. That could have been in a nice way and say, by the way, did you see that the other trash can was for the plastic? Let's assume you don't do that. It's okay not to, but you can do it. And so what I was mentioning to you, Tessa, at the beginning, I said, I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think that he purposely did that. I think he just wasn't reading, wasn't looking. It was quick. He was walking by and just wanted to throw it away. Better than throwing it on the floor.
True.
So, yeah. So when you think about it, we all think of, are we really leaders in what we do? And I'm that type that say, well, I'm not running a Fortune 500 company, or sometimes you might say, well, in my job, I really don't have a management or leadership role. Well, you can if you're an example of someone that you see someone throw. Oh, we have the recycling bin here. That's the way that you're being a leader. So here's some things. Let me kind of get back on target here, on topic. There are 4 things that John Stokes shared with me. Okay, one is systems thinking. The other is integrated sustainability strategy. The third one was collaboration. And then the fourth one was the role of science and technology. So when you think about systems thinking, the first one, that's interconnected. That's about how interconnected our world is. Think about this. Our economy is rooted in our environment. Our business practices are shaped by our economy. Our jobs and lifestyles are what? They're molded by businesses. My objective today is to clarify how to think about change that will affect the level of systems and change that is transformative. And here's the most important thing, that it's lasting, right? Let's now think about the integrated sustainability strategy. What do I mean by that? Businesses cannot go on as usual and change only a few practices to become sustainable. The other thing is, sustainable businesses of the future, they will have sustainability integrated into their overall strategy and business model. So if you think about just partial approaches like what we do here in the United States, that's not going to fully embrace the operational and technical, kind of options for change. And the other thing about that, it just makes businesses vulnerable to critique, right, from either stakeholders or threaten their social, license to operate, right? As That happens in other countries as well. Let's also think on collaboration, the third one here. The range of issues that sustainability entails requires an equal range of expertise to address. So what does that really mean? That means that no one business does or should have all the answers alone. Mm-hmm. Why? Because sustainability is a systems challenge. Businesses should not act alone, but with government and the civil society. As that they kind of advance together, what happens in that case is then it decreases the risk and increases available knowledge. Just like I'm sharing with all of you the knowledge.
Power in numbers, right?
Very, very good. Yeah, very well said. Both are accelerating the pace of change. Now, let's think of the role of science and technology. I know that last week, Tessa, we talked about AI and how that can help the environment. So if you think about that, we are on a complex journey with technology, where there's many innovations. And those innovations, you even talked about that's improved the quality of life, right, for people. So still, these technologies, though, they're imperfect, and they need to continue to move forward. So as a global society, we need to do more with less. And technology will help us with that. Now, one thing I do want to mention, because there is a however there. As essential as technology is, it is not a panacea. Okay, it's not a panacea to sustainability itself. And if you don't know what panacea is, that means one pill that is going to fix everything. That's not going to work. So we must use it, we need to be thoughtful, and we need to be responsible for the long term. Tessa, I know I shared quite a bit, and I know how you are really good on kind of taking notes, and I know how your mind works. You might think of something else. So if you don't mind, if I can kind of pick on you,
sure.
What kind of stood out? What did you think about? And what would you like to share on thinking of that, of being a leader in sustainability?
Well, I think that there were three there. I wrote down a couple of things.
Yes.
Efficiency came up on several of these. So using the technology, the integrating sustainable strategy into your businesses and systems thinking all had this kind of efficiency thread to them. And also not getting complacent with what is out there and what we are doing now. So a lot of businesses are like, this is the way we've always done it, but actually challenging the status quo and saying, but what if we could do this in a cleaner way? Or what if we can, produce packaging that's biodegradable or whatever that might be in your business, but saying like, we need those leaders that are going to challenge the status quo and say we can do better for all of our futures, right? And create something different if we don't just let it be. We don't just say it is what it is. But that's what I felt the most from what you just said. But it went in all of those areas. One other thing that you mentioned that I just wanted to say is that I see it a lot I work with a company that, they produce, they bring in eco-friendly products and then bring them to businesses. So they talk about how, a lot of people don't realize that the products that they bring in, maybe they do one thing green, but not everything. Like they still have a carbon footprint that's really large, or there's like a lot of other things that aren't great yet about who they're working with. So I think, it, like you said, it's not just one thing. It's kind of, you have to look at the bigger picture also. Those are all my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I want to close on thinking about how we learn through difficulty. Okay. When you're challenged with something in your life, what I have found is that oftentimes that's a perfect opportunity to grow in ways that is going to prepare you for that next level. Think about that. It's an opportunity to grow in how you manage your mental, an emotional focus, and ultimately your physical output. So as you observe, you become more aware of how you respond and feel towards people and situations, especially the ones that that you struggle with. Now, all of that, what I shared might sound great, and I want to give you kind of a goal around it. As you notice that I'll do when I say something that sounds profound, I dislike it when you see these quotes, right, in typical social media. And I'm like, okay, that's a great quote. That maybe those were wise words. And now what? What do I do with it? I don't know if you feel that way sometimes, Tessa.
Sometimes, yeah,
We
it's
get,
like kind of empty.
yes. So now every time that you hear something that you think is profound or something that you might want to learn from, think just three things. What's a goal I can set around it? How am I going to do this? And then what's the why? So here's the goal I'll give all of you guys. Consider a situation that is challenging you to grow and how you're going to step up. So now let's think about the how. Take a look at your life, the things you do, the people you interact with. I was talking to someone earlier about this. Which ones get under your skin? Have you maybe turned the other way or cause you to kind of just avoid or evade, right? Take a look at the other people around those situations, maybe those connections, and see how they deal with them, right? What traits, what thoughts, what actions, or maybe responses can you take to kind of smooth your own experience? Now, I mentioned why. Your why around it can be that every situation, challenge, or struggle is just an opportunity for a new belief, a new perspective, maybe a new response, or even better, I'm going to say a new habit, an identity. Stay open-minded in this process. Why? Because you might be missing opportunities that are prime for modeling because you didn't make the connection that overcoming the resistance with a new response is actually part of the process. That's it. I'm
Very
done.
good. Well, no, I like that you followed that up. And I definitely didn't mean that you gave empty, profound statements, because I love you always do give us action steps to take. So I appreciate that. That was
Yes,
very
of
good.
course.
Thank you so much, Reagan.
You're quite welcome.
If any of you are just stumbling across us for the first time, definitely hit the subscribe button so you get notifications when we go live, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you so much. Bye.